Okay, so we have another northerner on the show now, back from the homelands where I'm from in Yorkshire. We have got Brent Kilner, aka Varkid. Brent, how you doing, mate?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right, thanks.
It's lovely to hear another Northern Yorkshire twang, mate. Don't get enough of it round here. And
You
now
want to turn it down a little bit?
No, your volume's good. Your volume's good. Turn it up even. I need to hear those twangs. That's what it is. All the these and thas start coming out in this interview. Like, I'll be talking just like it by the end of it. So I'm going to start off from basically how our relationship started. I got in touch with you around 2019, I think it was, or early 2019, because I heard this bootleg that was going around the internet, everyone going mad about. And it was basically the Feed 'em to the Lions garage bassline track, mashed up with DJ Zinc, mashed up with Temper T. There was loads of tracks in it. And that's what got me recognized. That's what got me to recognize you as an artist as well. So when you made that track, what were your intentions with doing it? Because it is a crazy bootleg, isn't it?
I mean, I seem to find most fame through all my bootlegs that I did. Like whenever I upload an original, I didn't seem to get anywhere with it. But as soon as I did a bootleg, every single time, up for free download, my followers, my players, every bit of feedback I got just shot through the roof on bootlegs. So obviously that set me on doing them. And I think it was around the time when Predator released the actual, I don't know if it were an original that he did with Solo 45 or were it a remix? So the one that they were doing really big rounds. There were
Yeah, I think that was the original track because Predator produced it, didn't it?
Yeah,
produced by Predator, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I just stumbled upon the vocal one day and I just thought, yeah, I've got to do that one line.
Yeah, fantastic. And it goes down. I mean, the only thing about that bootleg I don't like is it plays so many of my favorite tunes. I can't play them in the rest of my set because it just combines them all in it. But I suppose that's a good thing. There's more room for more. But yeah, I definitely like. There was some ridiculous amounts of plays on that. I think I found it on SoundCloud, something like that. But yeah, that made me see you and notice you, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to hit this guy up definitely. So, and there we go from that. But obviously the first time we spoken around this, it was for, I just launched the Are You Serious label, which is my other imprint, which is Garage and Bassline as well. And we got a couple of tracks from you, didn't we? We got Searching and Just Can't as well, weren't it? I believe.
Yeah, I mean, that's when I went down another route, I think. I was kind of, the bassline thing were getting a bit stale. I didn't really like where it went. Like the scene, it kind of shifted too far away from the like original bassline sound. And I weren't really keen on where it went, so I started going back towards more garagey, speed garage vibes. That's where that one came about. But yeah, it wasn't something I normally delved into, to be honest with you. I don't know, but yeah, they both turned out really, really nice tracks, like so.
Yeah, it was a very early track on our label, and it kind of established you as a bit of a core artist for us on Are You Serious as well, because you've been releasing on that label with us ever since, haven't you?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I did release True as well. I actually thought True were prior to Searching. Were it not?
No, it was just after.
It was close by, but weren't it?
Yeah, there was maybe 2 or 3 releases in between it, like if that.
Yeah.
I think we really signed them just one after another as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
But that True and of course the Romy remix, they were probably 2 of the most successful tracks on label because we had like EZ, Flavor D, everybody was playing those, weren't they, fools?
Yeah.
We got some good traction. I mean, even before that, like I said, I noticed you around 2019, but your catalogue in terms of official releases goes back as far as 2013. So it's been about 10 years this year you've had official releases as Brent Kilner, isn't it?
Yeah, my first official release were on Bear Fresh, which is it's run by Rob Tansey, the original Crown Jewels, but it's called Kosher Audio now. He actually hit me up for it. It were a Resonate track that me and one of my friends used to collab that was as Alias together. And he hit me up for a release on a compilation. I mean, looking back, the tune is awful. If I ever hear it back now, I even took it off me on SoundCloud because I didn't like it that much. But yeah, that's the original release that I ever had. But I mean, that were 6 years into producing, maybe, before I actually got recognised for anything, really.
So you'd been doing the music for a good enough amount of time before you had that release, then, didn't you? Definitely.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm 32 now. I think I must have been 19 when I started, maybe around that time. But I mean, it was just whenever I learn to do something, I can't watch a tutorial or anything like that. I have to just work it out for myself. And obviously,
yeah,
you can't really do that with music. You need somebody to show you the ins and outs to it. So the first 4 years were literally me just throwing samples in. No idea about compression, EQ, or whatever, but I enjoy myself anyway. So.
I had a very similar interview on this show with Lemmy Dubs, who's just released on the label, and he was in the same position. He went for years without even discovering that you could have tutorials and things like that. So he was just literally just throwing random sounds into tracks and trying to create dubstep, which obviously you have a background in as well, don't you?
Yeah. That's why I originally started with dubstep. Like, yeah, I'd rather not talk about it.
not an easy genre to actually produce as well. To get those bass sounds sounding right and the subs, very, very tough to make as opposed to Speed Garage, of course.
Yeah, definitely. But I suppose when I started making dubstep, it was still in like the Jakes era. So it was more just like your low wobbles that weren't too bad. Because I did used to use Reason originally, and obviously the Subtractor VST on Reason is just perfect for stuff like that. And that's how I ended up doing Bassline, actually, because that's where all the original 4x4 basses came from, Subtractor and Reason.
Yeah, it's saying something that I literally forgot that existed. When I was saying dubstep then, I'm thinking a big tear out front case.
Yeah.
But yeah, before then there was much better dubstep, and it was easily to be produced, like Hatcher type of stuff and things like that as well, weren't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, once they released us. Yeah, proper dubstep, of course, yeah. Scream and Benger area and things like that. But I mean, even myself, when it got to the tearing out stuff, that's kind of when I fobbed it off after about a year or two of that. I got sick to death of it.
Yeah, it's a bit extreme in it. I do like it every now and again, but it's more to train to it, Jim.
We've got a good drinking game for dubstep, and we used to play this back in the day. Basically, what you do is obviously make sure you got your drinks, and you've got so basically me and you are playing this. I tell you a track. It can be anything. It can be from you've got to give an era, so it's got to be like 60s onwards. It's got to be something out there. So I could say Huey Lewis and the News, something like that, Back in Time from the thing. And what you've got to do is you've got to go online and you've got to search for a dubstep bootleg of that track. And if you don't find one, you've got to have a drink. Trust me, you can almost get through this game without having a single drink.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Dubstep bootleg of everything on YouTube and SoundCloud. Unbelievable. Like literally we were trying to catch ourselves out just to have a drink. We were parched, like couldn't get through it without it. But yeah, I mean, obviously when you started producing as well, the releases come thick and thin, didn't they? I mean, you were on some pretty big labels after Bear Fresh. You got 440, 3000 bass, obviously. LW Recordings is quite a big one as well. So they're all falling into place like dominoes after that, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, when I listen back to the music I were making at that point, the production like quality is so bad. Honestly, I'll be the first to admit it, but I think it's just because I were kind of doing my own sound sort of thing, so it was just fresh to people. So that's why it got so much traction, I think, innit? Because basically what I did, this whole bassline thing, I never meant to get into it. Like, so obviously I'm from Barnsley, which is really close to Chef, so it's obviously the 4/4 bassline scene. But obviously I made dubstep, so I was like, what if I made the dubstep basses over bassline drums? And that's how it started. And then obviously if you listen back to most of me tunes from like 5 years ago, you can still hear that in them all. So I just kind of fell into this bassline scene without actually ever been intending to go back into it.
Yeah, but you've cut some ways with it. I mean, like I said, obviously those labels came thick and thin, and I believe you even got a track on Holy Goose Fabric album as well, doing that stuff, didn't you?
Yeah, well, me and Holy Goose, we were really pally at one point. He's been to mine, I've been to his house. We never finished the tune. We collabed every time and started something, but we never finished it. But obviously, his work ethic in this scene is just like, it's a business to him, and he's so good at it. He's just absolutely skyrocketed. So at one point, me and him were like, sending each other tracks, and then obviously he just blew up massively. Yeah,
well, there's those flyers of you playing in Birmingham. You were like 3 names above him on flyers and stuff.
Yeah.
Well. And that was only like 6-7 years ago or something.
Yeah, well, that just shows just how long I've been doing it, really, I think. Like, I remember we played in Bristol, it's got to be 8 years ago now, and Skepsis were at the bottom of the flyer. So that just shows how long I've been.
Yeah. Well, a lot of those boys have been playing in Birmingham. Obviously, Tom Short has big up all the 0231 crew. They've been booking almost everybody since day one, haven't they? From Chris Lorenzo to Red Light when they first started. You know what I mean? They booked everybody in the bass and garage scene when they were nobody.
Yeah.
They're really gone far for it. So I mean, you talk about timelines and that, and we know obviously you were producing, as you said, a good 5-6 years before you started releasing. Tell us and put together the timeline of the music then. So, you know, what was your first love in music? What got you into DJing to then get you into producing?
I'm going back here. Like, do you know what's so when I were about 9, 10, I mean, I've always been into music. It's just one of the things you either are or you aren't you?
Yeah. I think I'm more after the dance music type of thing, because obviously the music that led you to DJing and producing, really.
Yeah. So as it initially started with when I was around 9 or 10, I got bought this I can't remember what we called it, like a Yamaha, like a little sample box, and it was preloaded with loads of trance and hip hop and everything. You could just alter it, like EQs, cut offs. There was nothing really. You couldn't produce on it or really DJ on it. It was just like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. You just strip samples out and stuff, and that's the first thing that I got. And then I got some Bush acoustic vinyl decks from Argos when I was 14. The mixer had a crossfader and 2 faders. That was it. There was no EQ or anything. I had no idea where to get vinyls from, so my mum gave me all the 70s vinyls. I had no idea how to do it. I had nobody to show me. But yeah, I got back into it proper when I was about 18. So they offered me some vinyl decks for cheap, and I got a load of Speed Garage reflective and echo vinyls from.
What year was this then when you was 18?
This was 2009, maybe.
Oh, so just
something like this.
I was only asking that because I used to be a manager at Reflex Records in Sheffield, but I left about 2004.
Right.
So obviously, if it was a bit beyond that time, that was the hub, weren't it? All the reflective stuff and Big Hand, they all come from Reflex Records in Sheffield. Yeah. And I was like the sales manager there. I bought all the releases in. But yeah, we obviously just missed each other then around that time.
Yeah, but I mean, in 2004, I was 13, so yeah. I would have been. No, but that can be hard to find records.
Yeah, of course. I actually worked there when I moved to Birmingham as well.
Well, that's where I got all the vinyls from. So you probably had something to do with me getting them at some point.
Yeah, my timeline might have matched up. It was about 2009-10 when I was actually working hard to find records. Yeah, did that for.
You were about that time, like so.
Yeah. Maybe so. I dealt with a lot of equipment and I was on the floor a lot as well. I did some of the orders with the vinyls, but yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Like obviously Sheffield and Yorkshire, and then there's a big space, and then Birmingham. They are prime for the baseline, aren't they? Basically, but it's very selective in the cities and areas in the country that pick up on it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you get the odd play. I mean, like Huddersfield were always really big, and you get the odd area in Leeds, but even with that, you didn't really get a lot of it. I mean, I literally, as I started going out, being allowed out to clubs, it was literally just on the tail end of when the baseline scene were at its biggest.
Yeah.
So I obviously got to see it just like I'm not old enough to have gone to Niche. It closed not long before I were allowed to go, so I never got to experience that, which I'm pretty good about.
They did a few tribute reunion nights after, but yeah, it's sure. I used to go to Niche quite a lot when I had nothing else to do at end of the morning and I was fucked out my face. But yeah, that's another story entirely. I wasn't like when I worked in the shop, I fucking hated Speed Garage. I really hated it. And it wasn't necessarily the music, because some of the older stuff from the mid-90s, that was good. But it was like the current stuff at the time, it was very underproduced, and we'd always have some right fucking monkeys come into the shop off the tits on a Saturday morning, just straight from the Niche. And they'd be there bothering you all day for records that they'd never buy. So I used to get fucking fully pissed off with it. Like I was just weren't on board. And it took a few years after leaving the shop to actually start to, like the music, and the Bassline house obviously got me back into it as well, you see. But yeah, the Niche days, wow, that was definitely something else, weren't it, for Yorkshire? Definitely.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So just going back onto your music, I mean, like I said, from that point you're releasing, you've been pretty consistent, especially as Brent Kilner. You've had numerous tracks across numerous labels, spanning those, like I said, the last 10 years very consistently. What would you say is the biggest bit of advice you can give somebody to have those consistent releases and, you know, keep, well, not churning them out as well, because they're all, like I said, they're all good ideas in their own right. Obviously, you're going to hate some of your older ones, but you've progressed and progressed and progressed, and you've always had labels releasing you. How's that happened for you, do you think?
I mean, it sounds like a cliche, but you've just got to try and bring your own style into it. If you're just making these cookie cutter tunes that sound like everybody else's, they're just 10 a penny and nobody wants to hear them. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you got 20 tunes. Yeah, they just throw away tracks, and that's all it seems to be at the minute. Like, it's just saturated with people just copying each other, and it just don't. Like, I know, I get how it is. You make a song and it sounds like a song that you really like, so in your head you're like, this is really good, but you just need to try and alter it, because you're not going to stand out for anybody if you just don't even like go for a genre. Just start making a song. Don't even set the BPM. Just start throwing samples in from anywhere. Get a jazz sample. Do you know what I mean? And just see where it goes. That's how I ended up making drum and bass. I never intended to do that, but I just made a bass line. I was like, that'd be so much better in DNB. So I just ramped you up to 172, and then I just started making drum and bass. Like, you just gotta have fun with it. It's not a job. I mean, it is for some people, but it's not for me. It's an hobby, and if you're not enjoying it, then what's the point?
Yeah, well, I mean, that kind of answers my next question as well. I mean, you've been such a permanent fixture on Are You Serious? You know, it's kind of, we've always been talking about garage music, and then suddenly one day you send me this fucking drum and bass track, obviously knowing that I run Dirtbox, and literally my balls are on the wall. I'm shitting my pants. Bring the Fire, I think it was, weren't it? That was the first one, and Burn as well, and Burn.
Yeah.
So what made you, like I said, I know you said you just ended up just doing it there, but what made you actually just finish it and think, you know, I'll finish this as a drum and bass track, when you were quite successful doing bass line still?
I think the bassline stuff was just getting a bit stale for me. Like, I would just get, like I said earlier, you got to enjoy it, and I weren't enjoying it. I was putting tunes out that I didn't like, deleting tunes. I've got folders and folders of half finished tracks from that like timeline. And yeah, I think because I used to put a lot of amen breaks in my bassline tunes, I think I just already had one downloaded. I dropped it into a track, and I was just like, oh, maybe I should make like your really old school, like Dillinger, and where they just had amen breaks looping and looping and looping. I just thought, so I just started messing with an amen break. I was just pitching it up, bringing it down, filtering it, and then it just came from there. Found like that ragga sample. Yeah, it just came together really well. It was only a few hours work, that tune.
Well, when we got the EP together on Dirtbox, like I said, there was 3 tracks. There was Selector, Burn, and Bring the Fire as the Bring the Fire EP, which came out last year. And yeah, but Bring the Fire for me is last year is the best drum and bass track I had. It's never left my sets. In fact, the only reason it's left my set now is because I've got a fucking remix of it. That's the only reason why I've not been playing it. But again, it's like I say, absolute, for somebody who just kind of fell into doing that, and for the first release, phenomenal. And you mentioned Dillinger. Obviously, when we promoted this, Andy C, Dillinger, some of the biggest names were actually supporting this release as well, weren't they?
Yeah. That's mad, because I did use listen to drum and bass at school. I was really big into it. And obviously these are all the names who I used to listen to. These are like the top dogs. So it's just mad to see my music getting put to them when it's not even really something that I do usually. It's just strange. It's just weird how it all came together.
Yeah, like I say, these things just happen, don't they? And I'm just the lucky one who gets to the first to fucking hear it, so I get to put it out, which is obviously phenomenal for us. And you know, talking of which, and we'll come on to this, there's a lot of new music obviously planned on Are You Serious, and of course on Dirtbox. But you've got 2 names now, both getting a bit of traction there. Obviously, you've got your Brent Kilner on, and obviously Varkid, who is basically doing the drum and bass. How are you going to be managing both names? I mean, are you happy with having these 2 aliases? Do you think it's, you know, do you think it's handleable? Are you going to be pushing them both just as much? What's the future?
No, I would. So like the Brent Kilner stuff is like my baby. It's the thing I've been doing since I started. It's the same profile, and it's just that is what I always will be, that one bassline side. But I do enjoy switching it up and making something else. So that's obviously what Varkid before. Varkid were never actually meant to be like
No.
specifically drum and bass. It were always going to be anything but bass line. So that's why I've got some releases on the Varkid, like Speed Garage.
That's it.
Because that's originally what we were going to be, but they kind of like blended a little bit. I've got it a bit mixed up. Maybe I shouldn't have done the Speed Garage on Varkid and stuff like that. But anyway, it's done. It don't matter. But yeah, anything that I make that isn't bassline is the Varkid. And that's more of the when I'm wanting a break from the bassline stuff. I feel the issue that I used to have with bassline is I had people were expecting something of me. You get what I'm saying? But when I do the Varkid stuff, nobody is. Like originally, I was never going to let anybody know it was me. I was just going to put it out there just to upload. If it did well, it did well. If it didn't, it weren't the end of the world. It was just something that I enjoyed doing. You know what I mean? So I mean, yeah, I'll put most of my effort into my Brent Kilner stuff, but I think that it takes the weight off my shoulders for Varkid, so there's no pressure for me to release things. And that actually, like, it benefits me, if anything. It makes me get music out at a higher quality because I'm not stressing over it.
I definitely know what you mean with obviously the stuff that you're sending me through. It doesn't feel like you're restricted. You're sending me all sorts. You're sending me rollers, you're selling me tech, you're sending me liquid, you're selling me bouncy stuff, jump up, and it just feels like you're having a lot of fun with it when you send me these tracks. Do you know what I mean? You're not trying to be constrained in any way.
Yeah, because obviously on the Brent Kilner stuff, people are expecting a certain sound from me, which I'm trying to switch up a bit at the minute. But it'll still always be that way, I think, personally. It's what I'm known for. That's why I didn't want to do drum and bass through my Brent Kilner stuff, because I'd be like, I feel like people would be saying, well, why is he making drum and bass now?
Yeah.
So that's why I just wanted it as a side piece. But it's more fun. I enjoy making the drum and bass more than bass line at the minute because, like we've just said, there's literally no rules, and I ain't got to impress anybody, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, it's coming across in the music, and as I said, I really see this brand blowing up for you. I mean, you've had one release and it's got huge support already. You know what I mean? I really do think that something definitely positive is going to happen. I mean, let's look at it. Let's look down the future. The Varkid thing obviously goes off. What do you see happening with that? Are you going to keep the same mentality and the ethos, or do you think you'll kind of take it a bit more serious?
That's an hard one because this is really my hobby now. Like, I've got my career sorted. I mean, if you asked me that 10 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, I'll drop everything in my life to do it. But nah, it's like, I mean, if it blows up, I'll be really happy. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird question. I don't really know how to answer it.
Yeah.
I think,
would you manage it like you do Brent Kilner? Would you have it as a, like I say, just your baby is your Brent Kilner, but can you have the Varkid as that as well? You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe. It's the issue with the drum and bass stuff is it's not my scene. So like, I don't know. I've got no contacts in that scene. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, apart from myself, I don't know. Like, I was in the bassline scene. I'm really pally with 90% of it, so I can.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to get by on this side, whereas that side, I'd much rather just make a song, get it released. If people like it, they do. If they don't, it don't really offend me. It's like if somebody doesn't like it because it's not the music I normally make. So if somebody goes, "Oh, that's really rubbish," I'll be like, "Yeah, well,
yeah,
I'm not bothered."
It is, and I know what you're talking about. We obviously separating the music and knowing what to put with it. I've had a similar issue as well. Is like where I've always been Lee UHF. The ethos of my name, it comes from hardcore roots, and I was doing just hardcore. But then when obviously I stopped doing that, I like drum and bass. Then I like a bit of garage. But then I like a bit of bass line, I like a bit of techno, and really the name was doing everything. And I was happy with that because I thought I could do it. But then you get a lot of advice of people saying to split it and do one direction so people know what to expect, which I get. But even now it's kind of like, you know, I want to do bass line, but I want to do drum and bass as well. You know, I've been torn over having a new name for the bass and having a separate name for the drum and bass. So it's kind of hard to kind of dictate because you want to see what people are seeing on the other side, and sometimes it's hard to do that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we've gone through a lot of questions here. Let's get into some music. Let's have a listen to the track Cold Heart. This is on the first album, Volume 1. And yeah, it's the second release that Varkid has had on the Dirtbox label. So we're going to have a listen to this track now. We'll get your thoughts, Brent, and obviously anybody listening, put your thoughts in the comments below. Let us know what you're thinking.
is just so cold. Your heart is just so cold. Your heart is just, your heart is just, your heart is just, your heart is just, your heart is
there we have it. Cold Heart, one of the best tracks I've ever actually heard this year in drum and bass. Lots of emotion, amazing vocals as well. Definitely a standout track on the LP, on both LPs combined. And there will be a music video coming along for this as well. So just want to get your thoughts on it, Brent, as well. How did this track come about before we sent it across for the album submission?
I actually made it. It's got to have been 8 months before I actually even showed it you. Like, it was just sat in a folder because I didn't really know what to do with it, because it's one of them tunes that I know we spoke about the other day. That it's probably the only tune I've ever made in my life that I didn't intend for a club. Like, it's like listening music. It's not really something that I'd personally play in a club. I just enjoyed making it. My production process all these years has always been start with the drums, but obviously since I've been making drum and bass, it's a lot more melodic. I've been starting with chords, and that's how it started. I got a new keyboard, and I got all the complete native instruments, but obviously loads of pads and stuff. So I just started messing around with presets. So I wrote the initial chords, you know, the chords in the second breakdown,
yeah,
like the transit. That was the start of the song. That's where the song started, and then obviously I switched it around and stuff. But yeah, it was more just me actually making music rather than just loud noises for a nightclub.
Well, it fits the album perfectly. I mean, I absolutely fucking love the build up on this and the drop as well. It is phenomenal. I mean, to say it's not something you'd see as music. I see this going off at every summer festival, like 100%. I cannot wait to get this in people's hands, definitely. Do you think you'll be doing more stuff like this in the future then as well?
Yeah, I did really enjoy making that, actually. More than like the mental jump up stuff, if I'm being honest, which I find really weird for me, because obviously my basses and stuff lend themselves to like your heavier stuff, really. But yeah, I don't know, I just really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, mate, we're literally going 2 for 2 in terms of hits here. Obviously, they bring the Fire EP, phenomenal, and I see this one going down the same route. It's scary. Do you know what I mean? You've definitely got the knack for drum and bass for somebody who's not put that much thought into having a drum and bass career. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, with the track itself, obviously this is appearing with plenty of others on there. We do have some other music that will be released down the line, but let's just get into one final question about on the personal side of things. You're a bit of a family man like myself. Obviously see you on Facebook with your nipper and the missus as well. Tell me a bit about this Kilner's Kitchen. What is this? Obviously you can find it on Instagram. What's going on with this?
Oh, it's just do you know what, it started through lockdown. I've always enjoyed cooking, but obviously through lockdown I had nothing to do but watch YouTube tutorials on everything. So the egg cooking programs, everything. I was like, I'm gonna try that, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try that. I ended up like getting really into it, posting pictures on Facebook every day. So I ended up setting an Instagram up for it, and then that led on to people saying like, where can I buy this? Like, can't, it's just in the kitchen. But yeah, that's then lent itself to like meal preps now, which I'm actually selling. It's like a little side hustle I've got on a minute.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
it's amazing what can come out of little things like that, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, that's it. I know this is going to sound really corny, but cooking's got a lot of similarities to making music. You add something and it can ruin it. You can add something and it's better. It's a mix of things that it's how you do it, not what you use. There's loads of similarities about it, but it's like a really cheesy line, that. So
it fucking is. It is. And at the end of the day, you're in your other kitchen right now, ready to cook up some beats as well, aren't you?
Just metaphors all over the place.
There's another cheesy line for you, definitely. That's good stuff. We can add the liquid to this album, like you maybe add your liquid to your, I don't know, your Cornish pasties or whatever it is you're making tonight. Brilliant stuff. Well, yeah, obviously we can check these online. Do you want to give us your music and your food socials, Brent? Let's let people know about them.
Yeah, so obviously all my Brent Kilner stuff is literally just Brent Kilner. If it's on Facebook, it's Brent Kilner Music. I believe Instagram is Brent Kilner Music too. Yeah, and then everything else, Varkid UK. That's obviously the drum and bass stuff. And then food-wise, Kilner's Kitchen on all socials.
There you go. And it comes with a word of warning. If you're following this, you're going to eat so much fucking food. It makes me so hungry following this fucking Instagram. I don't like it. I really don't. Putting some right fucking timber up watching that. Anything in the future that we can anything in the future that we can announce for Brent Kilner and Varkid music wise?
No, I have got a few Varkid tracks which you have heard, and you have like you
signed.
Especially Hide. I've got a tune called Hide. It's very like sub-focus oriented.
Yeah, beauty, that one.
Personally, I think it's the best piece of music I've ever produced.
It is great.
I mean, it's really sub-focused lent towards. I know that, but I feel like I put my own twist on it, and I'm really, really happy with that one. I cannot wait for that one to get shown.
Yeah, there's obviously within what we're doing here, it's crazy some of the stuff you're sending. Like say that whole EP that we've got planned, I think is fucking mental. And then on top of that, we've got the remixes as well that we've got, that people have remixed your tracks, you've remixed some tracks. So a lot of Kilner and a lot of Varkid to come within Dirtbox and our other brands like Are You Serious as well.
Yeah, man, can't wait.
Right, Brent, I've kept you long enough, mate. Your missus is probably wanting you back in Kilner's kitchen, so I'll let you make some tea. Make sure you send me some, because I'm fucking starving and I can't see me getting anything made for me tonight doing these interviews all day. But yeah, it's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you for touching base again, and can't wait for you all to hear it. Remember the track Cold Heart's out now on the Vibe City Volume 1 LP. What's up, everyone? Lee UHF here, the host of DNB Wraps. Thank you for watching our videos. If you like what you're hearing and seeing on the channel, please make sure you're subscribing to it. Please make sure you thumbs up the videos, and more importantly, let's get some comments going as well. It really helps the channel, and in order for us to provide this content to you, we do need the channel to grow. So we can't do this without your help. Hope you enjoy the video. Speak to you soon.